Welcome to Thru the Ringer. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. As always, joining us on this beautiful Wednesday, it's NFL Draft Week, so he's a happy man. It's Cousin Sal. We're close to football, Sal. Not quite there on the field, but we're at least in the draft room, so I know you're happy about that. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. So they do the draft Thursday through Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. And then the first game is the following Thursday. Isn't that how they do it? I mean, what are we waiting for?
I think that's right. I got to look ahead on the schedule, but I think it's something like that.
They don't need to train. It's fine. You already have a Bengals sleeve or something. Right. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's Anthony Edwards. You know what I mean? Like, I have to support Anthony Edwards. This is a good time for American basketball as well as American football. A lot of things to get to, but of course,
American Girl apparel, all of it,
all of it. American Doll that you gave me in the fall. There's a lot happening, but we got to play my favorite game so we can talk about it all. Let's do some over/under reactions, and we're not going to do NFL draft to start, Sal. We're going to start with the NBA because we are contractually obligated here at the Ringer to do that. So let's start here. If not for various injuries, Kawhi Leonard would have ended up a top 10 NBA great. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts,
God,
Sal?
Tate. Oh, Tate, what are you doing? What are you doing to this program? You want people
fired.
to turn it off?
Yeah.
Do you want FanDuel TV to go back to 24/7 horse racing with this stuff? That is an overreaction. That really, look, when he's healthy, he's a phenomenal player, maybe even more so in the postseason, which is a nice little, the thing to have in your arsenal, but I can't put him in the top 10. I can't assume that he would have had 3 of these injuries, like he gets in that Duncan Kobe range. I don't know. What do you think? I'm saying overreaction here.
I think it's an overreaction, but again, top 75 player, Sal. So he's at least in the top 75. He got that acknowledgement, got that honor. He has 2 NBA championships. He also got a Finals MVP. Did it twice, right? Once as a young kid, and then once as the main guy back in 2019. So I can see the argument, but again, it's an overreaction.
Great player. Right. Manu Ginobili, I think, has more career points than Kawhi Leonard.
He's like 164th all time, right?
I don't know. Do I have to re-rank these players again? I wrote the big book of basketball. I wrote that for Simmons. Do I have to do another one?
Yeah, I think you build out a pyramid. I think that's the best way to start. Right. Anytime you start building a pyramid, people start to listen. Next up, Sal, a guy who needs to build something to hide in. The Dallas Mavericks, Sal, need to keep Nico Harrison as GM just for the TV broadcast cutaways. Over or under reaction? This guy, he kind of, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but he has turned into a villain in the NBA.
Underreaction. I love it. I mean, just think, Tate. Remember it was COVID just like 5 years ago? We had cardboard fans in the now we can cut away to Nico Harrison, who pulled off the biggest boner of a trade of all time. Somehow just 2 people in all of NBA, all of the world, didn't know that Luka Doncic was a fan favorite in Dallas as the owner and the GM, and he's one of them. I love it. I love it. He needs to stop coming to games. Take a page out of Jerry, lives down the block, Jerry Jones. He stopped going on the sidelines. He hides in his luxury box. I think Nico's got to do the same. But as long as he's there, cut away, baby.
Yeah, keep cutting away and stop talking. I think that would be the best advice he could take at this moment. A guy who likes talking, let's talk about him. Later in the show, John Jastremski, a.k.a. JJ Bomb Sal, will scream at me about the Knicks at decibels never heard before on FanDuel TV. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts?
Yes, I am going to say that's an underreaction. I'm going to try to speak in hushed tones to balance out the hysteria you're about to
I'm going to turn down right now just to get ready for it. Right.
He's going to be screaming about Cat. Cat is no good, bro. No good, bro. I told you from the start. Cat. He's going to say Cat. You're going to think he's attacked by a mountain lion. He's going to say it so much. Bro, it's not fair.
I can't wait. I'm actually getting mentally prepared right now as you talk about it. Let's talk about
I'll walk away. If you can't wait, I'll just leave now. That's fine. I know he can carry the 56 minutes.
I got Tylenol right here to get prepared for it. Next up, let's talk about something near and dear to my heart. The NCAA, Sal. They need to regulate the transfer portal. That's the statement. Over or under reaction? It's time to get this settled.
Underreaction, Tate. It is time. It's Tate. And your favorite sport is about to get ruined here with college basketball. Now, I know we see more stories about the college football players who make an announcement in the morning and then make another announcement in the afternoon that they've gone to another team. So, but basketball, I feel, because fewer players on the team, is going to get ransacked quicker. Like we saw what happened with Baylor. They had lost all 13 guys. They got to start over. This is not Emporia State. This is like a Power 5 conference, right? Having to go through this. I don't get it at all. I don't like it. I think these guys are being too promiscuous. They're going to start getting a reputation if they're not careful.
Right, but it's great for the graphics guys, the guys that are making these graphics to make the announcement that they're going to be in the portal, make the announcement they're going to go to this school, make the announcement once they decommit from that school to then go to another school. So there is one community that is thriving in this transfer portal world. So kudos to them for figuring out the way to get in there. Next up, let's talk NFL draft, Sal. This is what the people are saying, or maybe just the people in our world. They're saying the NFL draft jingle is the most annoying jingle in sports. Over or under reaction, Sal? What are your thoughts?
Let's hear it. Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun.
There it is.
I don't mind it.
The pick is in.
Yeah, the pick's in. I think I'm going to say overreaction, but by virtue of the fact that we have to hear it, if you're watching the draft Thursday to Sunday, you're going to hear it about 254 times or something. Then it has to be the most annoying, but I still put number one right there with a bullet, the Amazon Thursday Night Football jingle. It just gets me, and I could faintly hear it. Please don't play it, because then it'll be in my head. I just want to enjoy the next 20 Thursdays without it. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to with football. So I'll say underreaction. Yeah,
it's better than the Jardiance jingle or the J.G. Wentworth, any of those. Right. So it's at least on the better end. And I'm sure Todd McShay hears it in his dreams and nightmares. Every single night he just hears that sound in his head as he thinks about the NFL draft. So.
I don't think he sleeps, so I don't know if he has dreams or nightmares.
It's
but
true.
You could be right.
That's how you avoid those things, right? You just don't sleep. Let's talk about a guy who's going to have some sleepless nights as he gets ready for the draft. Shedeur Sanders, Sal, will drop out of the first 20 picks. Over or under reaction? This is a little scuttlebutt leading into the draft.
It's looking like this could be a thing here, Tate, right? They talk about the Browns and the Giants looking to trade their pick. The Saints are no longer favorite to take Shedeur. So I don't know. It's moving around. There's a FanDuel special on there. Will he drop out of the top 18, 19 or worse? It's down to minus 245 now. It was like 160 or something. So this could be a long night. It could be Dion in, prime waiting position for like 3 hours to see when his son gets drafted. If the Giants pass, it's going to be a long wait, I think.
Yeah, it is going to be fascinating to see if we have like more of a Jimmy Clausen situation, a Lamar Jackson situation, right? Where Lamar was laying on the table, kind of like showing his frustration in that moment. Jimmy Clausen fell all the way to like 48 or something like that. So usually with quarterbacks, they either go first round or third round. There's not really many second round quarterbacks because usually they kind of fall out of that range. If you're in the second round, usually people jump into the first round to get you. So Shedeur Sanders, we'll see where he ends up falling. Let's talk about a guy who is not falling down. He is winning over and over again, even as a heel. John Cena winning his 17th world title makes him the undeniable wrestling GOAT. Over or under reaction, Sal? What say you?
Better than Kawhi Leonard? No. I can't put him there. I'm going to say overreaction. Now, I love Cena. He's great. All my kids grew up loving him. Terrific for the sport or the game or the entertainment of wrestling. I know the disappointing main event, from what I hear, aside, 17-time champ puts him at the top of the list, but not at the very top. I go Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant, Cena, Ric Flair. Those are my four. Go ahead. Get the chisel out. Carve them out. Mount Rushmore for me.
Yeah, where would we put that? I guess we'd have to put it like in Pinehurst, North Carolina, like their own little mountain there. That's where Vince McMahon is from. I don't know. Maybe we figure out where to put that mountain in, or Pahrump, Nevada, next to the the Hall of Fame there, the Degenerate Hall of Fame. So maybe we figure out a spot for those guys. But John Cena, congratulations, you're right up there. Last one, Sal. Uncle Baby Billy, a favorite of both you and I on the Righteous Gemstones, is the better Walton Goggins character, HBO character. Over or under reaction? This feels like the proper reaction in my book.
Yes, under. Is it Uncle Baby Billy or Baby Uncle Billy? It's Uncle Baby Billy. Yeah,
it's Uncle Baby Billy.
Look, it's night and day between the characters. Rick and Lotus was good, but Uncle Baby Billy might be the greatest HBO character of all time. He is an absolute nutcase, and in many instances, he's literally a nutcase as he walks around nude. So, yes, give me that one.
Yeah, a lot of nut shots on the Righteous Gemstones. And Uncle Baby Billy, I mean, he's been able to, even though it's vulgar, it somehow cuts through the households and all in the South. My parents, everyone in my extended family, they love Uncle Baby Billy. So, shout out to Walt Goggins.
Tremendous.
For making everybody laugh. Let's do some prop culture now. Let's call up the Riverboat captain, and he's got a good and fun question for us this week. Sal, which sports ranking system or tool is the biggest waste of time. Wow, a lot of the captains shooting from the hip this week. We got the odds here. Any NFL mock draft at 3-1. We got the NCAA Bubble Watch at 5-1. We got the Sports Center Top 10 at 10-1. And we got wow, I can't believe this. We got Bill Simmons' NBA MVP vote at 75-1. Field is even odds. What say you, Sal?
Wow.
Which one is the biggest waste of time?
That is a ballsy thing. You're putting Simmons' MVP vote in
I did not
really.
write this list. This is,
there
again,
might be ramifications.
the Riverboat captain is going to be in trouble. That's for sure.
They're all bad lists. Simmons, I haven't seen his NBA, but really,
I think
first
it was
of all, the mock
Jokic,
draft.
which I think is the right.
He went Jokic. All right, yeah. He might have told me to bet SGA, but picked Jokic. It wouldn't be the first. It'd be like the 40th time that's happened. But I mean, they're all a waste of time. They really are. The mock drafts are crazy. Anyone who has 5 mock drafts, the best you're going to do is like 5 out of 32. The basketball bubble watch, forget it. Who cares? You saw how that ended this year, right? 2 teams probably should have gotten it. I'm sorry. I don't want to, create some disturbance in your brain here. With
no, I hate the bubble. I hate the bubble boys. Yeah, the worst.
I'm gonna go Sports Center Top 10. I used to love it, but first of all, you see all the highlights before 11 o'clock Eastern now if you're on social media. And secondly, they always throw in something like Korean middle school lacrosse, girls lacrosse or something at number 3, like things you don't care about. So something that belongs on ESPN 12. So that's what I'm going to say, Sports Center, top 10. Sorry.
I think that's a good pick. The Savannah Bananas were the ones that got me with the Sports Center top 10. I would watch, and then somehow, like, it used to be baseball would always be number 1, which you're kind of okay with, right? A web gym, something like that, you're fine with. But when it's a web gym that is in a fake game, like it'd be like the Harlem Globetrotters getting the number 1 highlight. So that's when they lost me. So I think 10-1's the best value. Obviously, the Bubble Boys, they have a special place in my heart with my hate, but 5-1 does not feel like good odds. So I'll take the top 10 at 10-1, and I think that saves us from the MVP vote, right? Because we both took Sports Center. I think
that was wrong. Nobody. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yes. Yeah. There's a big rivalry there. Yeah. Sorry, Simmons. I don't know what Tate was thinking there.
No, I don't. The Riverboat captain. He's the one that did this. The prop culture. Sal, I turn it over to you. Now you can take responsibility and some culpability as you set some lines for us.
All right, here we go. You cannot find these on FanDuel Sportsbook, so don't even look. We're just having fun here. Tom Thibodeau has under 10.5 games, over under 10.5 games remaining as head coach of the New York Knicks. You'll be discussing this with JJ at length and at great octaves. So what do you think?
I'm going to say over. I believe in Tibbs. I do feel like we have this back and forth when, it's the Thibodeau when he's doing bad. It's Thibodeau when he's doing good. It's Tibbs, but maybe it should be Thibs. I don't know where we are with that. But right now, I think he's still going to be the head coach of the Knicks. I do think this Knicks team is just going to have to drag out the series. The Pistons are a tough matchup. It's going to go 6 or 7. I do think they figure it out, and I think that Tibbs is going to win this series. Maybe not win the next series, obviously, but he's going to have enough good faith go into this offseason. They're going to have a year under their belt with Cat and Brunson, and I think they talked themselves into Tibbs. And Tibbs is a good basketball coach, Sal. People forget this. I know a lot of people like to talk bad about him, but I'm going to take the over, and I'm sure JJ is going to be very upset about that.
I guess he hasn't lost the locker room yet, but I feel like 10.5 means the Celtics would beat him in short fashion if they were to even get by Detroit. But I don't know. Is this a team that just loses in the second round every year? They're also not as likable as they were in the past. Maybe
the flopping is hurting.
Flopping, the Villanova guys broke it up. Tibbs runs these guys into the ground. I'm not sure. I would go under. All right, here's another one. Hollywood's Tate Frazier will watch over under 26.5 minutes of playoff hockey action. That's you.
Boy, do I wish I was Hollywood's Tate Frazier. I think I would have a totally different life, and I would be thriving. I would not be wearing this Anthony Edwards pullover, that's for sure, Sal. I'd have a nice suit on, and I'd be watching a lot more hockey. But I will say, I've already hit the over. I watched the Hurricanes game, and it is nice. Like, during the NBA playoffs, obviously they have my first priority as my basketball brain goes. But, you cut over, you watch over. I watched Ovechkin score his goal the other day. I just happened to turn in as he did that. That was nice. So I'm going to say the over because it's already hit. It's official.
Good. I'm proud of you. Who are they playing? Who's your team playing? Do you know?
They're playing. They're out there. They're out there playing.
Playing the Devils.
They're playing.
You're watching VHS tapes of the Tar Heels beating the Wolverines.
I was watching Rod Brindamore from the 05 team. I think maybe Cam Ward.
All right, you hit the over, I guess. All right, here's another one near and dear to you. This might hit too close to home. Jordan Hudson will be the athletic director of UNC in over under 2.5 years.
Oof. One, I plead the fifth, but two, I would say 2.5 months feels closer to the timeline as opposed to 2.5 years. 2.5 years, Belichick's got 2 championships at that point, so we don't even know what kind of power trip he might be on. But yeah, I think this is the Jordan brand may go from DAN to DON very soon with the football program. So I think you're moving in the right direction.
Ultimately be the greatest Jordan in UNC history if she plays her cards right here. It's a bummer because I always wanted you to get that job as a AD. All right, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, we're moving in the right direction.
Maybe over the commercial.
Either it's Hollywood, AD, one way or the other. We'll figure out a plan. Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to do some line look ahead, some track to the futures, and we got more fun with Cousin Sal. We'll be right back. Back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with Cousin Sal, and it's officially time to talk NBA playoffs. First and foremost, Sal, very physical NBA playoffs. A lot of people talking about it looks like shades of the 1990s. A lot of people have been clamoring over the past couple years. They want this physicality back. You've watched the 90s basketball, obviously. You watch today's basketball. Do you like the physicality of the playoffs? Yeah. Does it feel like the NBA is kind of moving back in the right direction? Do you feel good about that?
You tell me if it's the right direction. The only 2 really competitive games were the Clippers against Denver, right? And why is that? Because they have 7-footers who don't just lay behind the arc and throw it up for grabs, right? It gets physical inside. It's fun. It doesn't have to be, 83-78 finals, but you like to move it around a little bit and get a little of everything in there. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and it's great, too, that the Warriors, they kind of seem like the problem child that everybody points to for ruining basketball in today's era, but they're in the one of the most physical series so far. The Rockets are playing a 90s style of basketball. Steph Curry just showed us he can play that physical style. So a lot of good stuff happening in the playoffs. Let's do a line look ahead. Let's start here with the Boston Celtics taking on the Orlando Magic. Boston in Game 2, minus 12.5 in this one. Total 199.5. What do you like in this one, Sal? And you got a player prop that you like, right?
I do. Well, first of all, they didn't really move the line from Game 1. It's 12.5. Maybe it was like 13.5 in Game 1. But that was a close game. Orlando was actually winning at halftime. Boston blew them out. Let's be cautious, though. If everybody's taking Boston on the money line, weird spot for them. Last year, they lost to Miami in Game 2 at home, and they lost to Cleveland in Game 2 by 24. Gigantic wins for me because I bet the minus 9.5 both sides. So that was like 11 or 12 to 1. But you're right. Player prop Franz Wagner, 32 plus points, rebounds, assists. He's hit this in 5 of his last 6 road games, just under on Sunday, but averaging almost 35 over that stretch of 6 games. Dominican Republic's own Franz Wagner. No, that's not where he's from, is he? I don't know.
No, he's from Germany.
Oh, he is
Wagner.
Okay.
You know what I mean? As it would be in the States, it'd be Wagner. You know what I mean? That's how you know. It could be Frank Wagner, but Franz Wagner, it turns into a lottery pick and a potential franchise guy.
Right.
And he's got a little hitch in his shot happening right now, which I am concerned about. But like you said, Sal, Game 2 in Boston, this feels to be like a blind spot for this iteration of the Celtics. And I like the idea of Franz Wagner having a big game after he struggled in Game 1 a little bit, so that's a good call. Let's do another line look ahead. We're going to stay in the East. Miami, Cleveland. Cleveland minus 12 in this game. The total 212.5. You got a player prop that you like. What do you like on the board, Sal?
Yeah, I'm not touching the line or the over-under. It is Donovan versus Davion. Both Mitchells, not related. Also not related, Mitchell Robinson. I have a whole list of Mitchells that are not related I could throw at you later. But I bet Miami to win 2 or more games in this series. Not looking great right now, so I'm going to switch to the player prop, and that is the aforementioned Davion Mitchell. 2 or more threes. He's hit 2 or more from behind the arc in 5 of his last 6 road games. He's around 2.5 over that stretch. He pays plus 128. That's my player prop.
I like that. He also likes the transition pull-up three, so he's not afraid of taking threes. And the Miami Heat kind of have a philosophy in general, especially with Duncan Robinson types, to get up as many shots as possible. So I like that one there. I'm going to take Bam, another first basket bet. Bam Adebayo to get the first basket in this game, plus 650. I feel like Miami's going to come out and try to force the issue a little bit with some physicality, play a little bit inside out, a little bit more physical than they did in Game 1. And I think Bam, a little short runner, a little short floater, maybe a putback dunk, whatever it is, plus 650. 50-50 first basket.
I'll take
it in
that,
this
or
game.
Davion Mitchell 3. Either one is for first basket, as long as
Yeah,
it's
we would
nothing
love
else.
that. Yeah, that would be great. Let's look at this is a very fun and fascinating series. Line look ahead. The Warriors taking on the Rockets. Rockets -3 in this game. Total 203.5. Sal, you have your eyes set on the Houston Rockets in this one. Is that right?
I do, and it's weird because they were obviously inferior last game, as it looked in game one. But I'm playing the trend here, Tate. Specifically, home teams that lose game one. This is a Parlay Kid special. Home teams that lose game one, they come back and win game two. They always cover it. It's like an 80% cover rate for the home team. As bad as they looked, I know the Rockets were stifled at 85 in game one. Steph and Butler did their thing. Houston can't be that bad again. Sengun was a bright spot for Houston. That was his first playoff game. What did he have? 26, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals. I do like him. He's had 25 or more points, rebounds, assists, and 12 or 13 at home. So I'm playing the home team, though, Houston, in this monster trend. Houston takes game two by a comfortable margin, I think. Let's hope that margin is 10+.
Yeah, and if you told Houston in game one they would hold the Warriors to only 3 guys in double figures, they'd hold them under 100 points, they would say, okay, we're going to win that game. But Steph Curry went and did Steph Curry things, and Jimmy Butler closed out that game. But I think Houston does bounce back and shows why they were the 2 seed in the West. I'm going to take Curry 5 or more threes in this game.
Oh, my God, Tate. How am I going to win this? Yeah.
Well, I think we're contradicting ourselves here.
Okay.
Obviously, you have an outlook on how this game is going to go. I still think that maybe the Warriors have one last run in them, and I do think that Steph Curry, Tim Duncan have always kind of been on the same trajectory and tier, and I think he's going to end up winning 5 titles, and I think it could be this year with Jimmy Butler by his side, and I think Curry, they go for the kill in this game. I think they try to just wrap this series up in 4 so they can rest as much as possible. Rest is going to be their number one ally if they're actually going to make a run, so they need to get this series done as soon as possible. So I think Curry goes for the kill, tries to get up as many threes as possible, spread out this Houston defense, and Jimmy Butler can finish it in the end. So 5+ threes, plus 105. I like the money there. But like you said, Houston is probably the team that's going to handle business and bounce back in this game if you just base it on tradition. One more thing on the playoffs, Sal, before we move on and talk some MLB. Based on, I love game one overreactions. Our guy BS, he loves game one overreactions as well. After you saw game one, was there any like looking at the futures of who could win the championship that maybe was a little tantalizing? I know some people pointing out the Timberwolves plus 3,800 to win the title after game one. Is there any of that happens in your mind?
It's tough because the 1 and 2 seeds just beat up the 7 and 8 seeds so much, so you don't know what to read into it, and so you don't want to move off of it. I mean, I have Boston win the title, and I have SGA to win the finals MVP as a hedge. So I'm going to stick with those two. I know that's boring, but until the top squads screw up, I think those are the picks.
Yeah, I like that. I think you're correct. Let's do an MLB line look ahead. Dodgers, Cubs. What do you like in this game, Sal?
Yeah, this is a fun one, right? So this is how we set the season up. It's -108 either side you want to take it. But they played in Japan. Dodgers beat up on the Cubs. Then they lost 2 or 3 in Chavez Ravine when Chicago came to town. I'm going to take my chances with Cubs pitcher Matthew Boyd. Had a quality start against the Dodgers a couple weeks ago. 6 innings, 3 earned, 7 strikeouts, and that was his worst outing of the year. He mowed down the Padres twice and the Diamondbacks. Cubs are playing solid ball, a little bit of everything offensively. First in runs, second in home runs, second in stolen bases. I see them beating the Dodgers 5-4.
I like it. I like the call. I've been looking at Dodgers futures and just seeing the lines moving. The Padres ahead of them, but they're still plus 750 to win their division. So there's a lot of stuff happening with this Dodgers team, and obviously a lot of belief that they can go back and win the World Series. Right now, plus 230 to win the World Series if you're like me and believe in the Dodgers. Let's go to the NFL draft. Let's do another line look ahead here. We got some Ringer draft specials. If you go to FanDuel Sportsbook right now, you can check out. If you swipe over to the draft specials, see the Ringer specials on the board. There's a couple there that are Cousin Sal creations.
Yes.
Which one do you like the best on the board, Sal? Let's give it out to the people.
I gave birth to a few of these. Now I'm just resting. How about will a kicker be drafted in the first 150 picks plus 116? I'm going to take it, Tate. Last year, the Vikings took the first kicker with 203. That was an anomaly, though. The previous 3 years, it's been 149 or less. And by the way, with so many kickers able to boot at 65-plus yards now, all you really need is like 2 first downs. It's becoming important. It's more important than quarterback, actually, kicker now. So, I said it. The Ravens have never drafted a kicker. Never drafted a kicker. No, I'm not even talking about 3rd round, 4th round. In the team's franchise, this could be the year. They're having a little trouble with theirs. middle of the 5th round, I'd say one goes.
Never drafted a kicker and got one of the greatest kickers ever.
Yeah.
So maybe that will teach people not to draft a kicker. I don't know. Maybe there's a conundrum right there. But again, if you go to the Ringer draft specials, you got the Cousins Cowboy conundrum, Dallas to draft a QB in the 2025 NFL draft. That's at -144. We got the free fall Shedeur Sanders to be drafted 15th overall or later. That's -245. That's pretty shocking, Sal. When I saw that line, that seems like it's almost an expectation at this point.
Just keeps moving. I guess they say if there's no trades and if New Orleans passes on Shedeur, which it looks like they might at this point, then you got to let free fall a little bit because from 12 to 19, no one really needs a quarterback, but really anything could happen.
And then we got BS's top 4 exact order. We got Cam Ward going 1. That seems to be consensus. It's -$1 million at this point, maybe -$1 trillion. Shedeur Sanders going number 2 is what BS is saying. Right. Travis Hunter to then fall to number 3, and then Abdul Carter at number 4, and that's plus 1,900. So do you think BS knows something about Shedeur to Cleveland at number 2?
I think BS is a perfect description of how to label that quartet right there. I don't think. Now, Shedeur, in his defense, I think that was with a lot of Shedeur talk. He gave it out a couple weeks ago, and I think that he had Shedeur going second, but
that's the problem with the draft talk, right, Sal? Like, I mean, things change from, what I mean? It's like hour to hour.
That's why you have to make a mock draft every 8 minutes. You have to make a new one. It's the only way to do it.
Keep making mock drafts. Let's talk about what's happening on the actual ice. Line look ahead. Last one, we got the Oilers taking on the Kings. Kings -1.5 in this one. Total 5.5. What do you like in this one, Sal? And of course, I'm going to be locked in.
Oh man, Monday was a classic. Kings blew a 4-0 lead. They blew a 5-3 lead with like 2.5 minutes left. McJesus came in and scored. Then they scored another one. They tied it up, and then LA wins with 40 seconds left in regulation. Philip Denault comes through for the Hollywood Kings there. Last time they matched up in the playoffs, Tate, 4 out of 5 went over 5.5 goals. I can't believe they haven't moved this to 6, really. I think it's back and forth, high octane all series. It's going to be tough to keep the Oilers off the board. And as long as this is 5.5, I'm going over. And our producer, Jack Wilson, is going, big Kings fan. I think the Kings are 12-63 when he's in attendance over the years since he was a young boy. So total mush, that guy.
Yeah, we're going to be pulling for Jack, and we're going to be pulling for the Kings, and we're going to be pulling for the over. That's what we want in this game, and high-octane, entertaining playoff hockey. That's what the world wants to see. Sal, we want to see you. Where can we find all your work to make sure that people stay locked in, and then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your day?
Against All Odds on the Ringer Podcast Network. You can catch it all week. We have a couple episodes, and Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend on Friday right here on FanDuel TV. The great David Wright is going to join me.
Oh, there you go. Love to hear it. And Sal, love having you on the show as always. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, turn down your volume. John Jastremski's on the show, and he's going to be talking about the New York Knicks. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. As promised before the break, he is here from New York, New York. He is a wise guy, and he is a friend of the show. JJ, John Jastremski, back on the show. And JJ, first and foremost, how you holding up? There's a lot of conversation about the New York Knicks. We're going to get into it. But first and foremost, you okay? Sal said you were going to yell to the high heavens about what happened in Game 2, but I just want to start there. You're okay, correct?
Well, Tate, first of all, it's a pleasure to be on, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, our buddy Sal, I think, is misreading the moment. I am very much a man of perspective. Now,
Yes.
I think if you would have caught me at around 11 o'clock Eastern, right after that Knick game wrapped up, then you would have gotten a lot more yelling, screaming. You would have gotten maybe some bangs off the table. But now that I've had a day to digest the disgust that I saw at Madison Square Garden, I think it's time for me to be excited, but yet a little more zen for you, okay?
Yeah, I was trying to tell him you're a docile guy. You're an objective.
Oh yeah, very much so. Very quiet, very calm, of course. Yeah.
These are the things that happen. These are the things that we discuss. Let's talk about that game too. Dennis Schroeder had his Kyrie shot, obviously a much lesser version of it, but he had his game-winning shot there at the end. We got the battle happening, the game within the game of Cade Cunningham versus Jalen Brunson. Tibbs after the game bringing up that one side there's a foul. As a guy drives straight line to the basket. On the other side, it's not always the case. Talking about Brunson versus Cunningham. So there's a lot happening in this series. From the bird's eye view, after you've processed and marinated, what are your thoughts? Like, do you feel good for the Knicks? Do you feel like panic button? Like, where are you right now as you look at this series?
I'm definitely not pressing a panic button because I still believe the talent level just favors the Knicks. They're a more talented team than the Detroit Pistons. I think there are some concerns. I think there are some definite warning signs after what you've seen in the first 2 games of this series. And listen, don't get me wrong. I didn't love the officiating in Game 2, but Tate, we're not going to be lame here. That's a loser's mentality. For me to come on the air and make the argument, hey, the officiating is why the Knicks ended up losing Game 2 is absolute nonsense. There were a lot of problems from Karl Anthony Towns basically getting 3 touches in the second half of this game, which is inexcusable on all fronts, whether it's the head coach, whether it's the star player, whether it's Jalen Brunson not getting him the ball, whoever it might be. That is completely unacceptable. Or Mikal Bridges not knocking down big shots, or too much ISO with Brunson. Like, there are so many things we can get into with Game 2 for why the Knicks lost the game. For anybody to look at it as, oh, just didn't get the better of the whistle, and Detroit got to the free throw line a lot more, you're just making excuses. So we don't want to do that around here.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Pistons had lost 15 straight playoff games since 2008. Now we're 2000 and late, back in 2025. And this group, this Pistons team, obviously they have a little bit of self-belief. They have a little bit of grit. There are some bad matchups there. Jalen Duren, the physicality. But like you said, the Knicks have been the better team. The Knicks do have this talent. What can Karl Towns do to sort of make his impact on this series?
So that's the million-dollar question that we were trying to figure out after Game 2. Because if you go back to Game 1, Tate, it didn't seem like Detroit had an answer for him. He hit some incredibly difficult shots. He was very efficient from the floor. There was an argument to be made in Game 1. They didn't get the ball enough. So I don't understand how he doesn't get the ball in the second half of this game. And look, I think Detroit is trying to take the ball away from him beyond the three-point arc. He likes getting his touches, and he likes operating once he can kind of get in space. But if it's some more old school back to the basket, you saw a little bit of that in the first half of this game. That is where the coaching staff has got to try to scheme to the player's skill set, where it's like, look, we have a guy who is one of the most skilled big men in the league. He is somebody that we should be taking advantage of in these playoff games. We can't let him go MIA in situations where we're having possession after possession and he's not touching the ball. So I think Karl Anthony Towns has got to be more assertive. I think some of it absolutely falls on the player. I also think some of it falls on the coaching staff. Hey, Tom Thibodeau, get your offensive scheme set up in a way where Karl Anthony Towns is going to be touching the ball consistently with the minutes he is on the floor. And then it also requires Jalen Brunson to make sure that he gets the big fella the touches that he needs.
Yeah, and Tibbs, obviously the heat is always turned up when you lose playoff games. A lot of people start pointing the finger, so Tibbs understands that, and I do feel like this Knicks team will figure it out. I feel like Knicks in 6, you know what I mean? I'm still believing in this group, and I feel like the problems will exist in the next round, and then the heat will turn up even more. But like you said, right now, this Knicks team, no panic in this group. Let's talk about the Rockets and the Warriors. Obviously, this is a fascinating series, a very physical series. People, you know, harkening back to the 90s with this series. Warriors win Game 1. Steph is magical. Jimmy Butler closes the game. Do you think the Rockets have some fight left in this series, and are you buying into the idea that this Warriors group, this Warriors team could actually make a run and maybe win a 5th ring for Steph Curry?
I'm not ready to buy the idea that Golden State can win a ring. They're not deep enough. I think Houston will fight in this series. They're an incredibly well-coached team. They defend at a very high level. The 2 best players in this series are on the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry has won all of these championships, but they're not listening to this inexperienced Rocket team. They'll win in 6.
The Cavaliers as well, a fascinating series taking on the Heat. This is the LeBron series, obviously, between these 2 programs, but now they've moved on, and now we got Darius Garland. Ty Jerome, my guy, was incredible in Game 1. What do you like from the Cavs, and what is the ceiling of this group? Do you buy in? Do you believe in the Cavaliers?
So you had to bring up Ty Jerome. I mean, I'm getting haunted by being at the Carrier Dome watching that Virginia team that could never score for years put on a shooting performance the year they won the championship that I witnessed in person.
Ty's from New York. That's why.
Oh, well, listen, I didn't like any of those Virginia guys. I rooted against them like crazy, but that's a story for a different day. He's turned into a very good NBA player. What is the ceiling for the Cavaliers? It's an excellent, excellent question. I don't think they're a championship team. I think they're going to win their first series for sure. Miami doesn't have the horses. I think if they play Indiana in the second round, I think that has the potential to be a classic series. I think Indiana is absolutely live in the series with the way they've played in the second half. And I know that Cleveland has had some regular season success against the Celtics. Now, there's a major disclaimer I want to throw, Tate. If you're going to tell me that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are dealing with significant injuries, it obviously changes the calculus of what the rest of the Eastern Conference looks like. I mean, they're not the same team if you're not getting optimal Tatum and optimal Jaylen Brown. I think Cleveland would need so many things to go right, though, if those guys are right, to go and win the series. I have a little PTSD from this Cavs group over the last 2 years. I think best case scenario for them, they get a hobbled Celtic team. They advance to the NBA Finals, and I think they lose to the team that come out of the West. That would be my gut feel. But more than likely, they're either losing to Indiana or losing to Boston. I'm not all the way on the idea of Indiana beating them yet, because you know what, Tate? They have to beat the Milwaukee Bucks first, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But I'll give you a little tease. I think your buddy will be betting the Pacers in the second round against the Cavaliers. How about that?
I like that. I like that as a matchup. I like that as a little, future to look at. But the Cavaliers, they're a fun team for now. I still feel like they're weak on the wing. They're still trying to figure out who their small forward is, and obviously that is the strength of the Boston Celtics there with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And like you said, if they're healthy, it's hard to imagine a world where the Boston Celtics don't end up winning the East. The most fascinating series in the West, the Clippers versus the Nuggets, obviously, and Kawhi Leonard was incredible in Game 2. How impressed have you been with Kawhi, and how much fun is this series just seeing Jokic versus Kawhi? This is high-level basketball, right, between these two teams.
No question. Listen, when you look at the postseason games that have been played, there have been a lot of duds for the first 3 or 4 days. You can't say that about Clippers and Nuggets. Those are the two best playoff games I've watched, hands down.
It should not be a first-round series, right? Like, it's just
it doesn't feel like it.
Level.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, both of those teams kind of found themselves compromised by the teams that they ended up playing. Like the Warriors losing that final game of the year to the Clippers and falling into the 7th seed. It was like the best thing to ever happen to Golden State. No disrespect to Houston Rockets. I'd rather play you than play the likes of the Joker or Kawhi Leonard and this Clipper team that's top 5 offense, top 5 defense, incredibly well coached. I picked the Clippers from Jump Street, Tate. I bet them in the first 2 games. I had a win by the hair on my chinny chin chin in the overtime game yesterday, or whatever, game 2, number 1. I can't even keep track of the days at this point. Right. Game 2, Kawhi Leonard put on a show. I just think the Clippers are the deeper team. They're a team that has, to me, more answers than the Nuggets, where I just look at the Nugget bench and I'm wondering what kind of production you're going to get. I don't buy that Russell Westbrook is going to be able to keep giving Denver what he's given them over the first 2 games of this series. And maybe this is me being a sucker for an old-school coaching narrative. I just have a hard time envisioning Mike Malone, who's a championship head coach, gets fired a week before the regular season ends. And on the other bench, you have an NBA winning head coach in Tyronn Lue. You have Jeff Van Gundy, who's coached teams to the NBA Finals as his lead assistant. I think it's one of the best coaching staffs in all basketball, quite frankly. And I think the deeper team and that coaching staff is going to be the difference. I think the series will be epic. I'm not going to be surprised if we see a 7th game. But at the end of the day here, Tate, the odds are telling us, I think, a story here with this series being 1-1. And the Clippers are still pretty sizable favorites in the odds market. They're going to find a way to win this series.
Yeah, I think the call with the coaching is a really good call. Adelman's done a good job, but obviously when you have JVG over there and he's holding on to the basketball and keeping Jokic away, and you got Ty Lue who's won a championship, there's a lot of fun and a lot of excitement and a lot of belief in the Los Angeles Clippers. JJ, stay right there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some NFL draft. We're going to talk about the Giants. We're going to talk about the Jets, and maybe we'll talk a little bit of baseball, but we'll be right back, and we'll see you right after the break. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with John Jastremski, and we are talking NFL draft. And we're going to start with the New York Giants. Obviously, you are handling business on New York, breaking down what these teams are thinking. There is a lot of conversation about what the Giants are going to do with that third overall pick. There has been some Shedeur Sanders smoke, of course. He had a private workout. There is some scuttlebutt that maybe they have an inkling to go after Shedeur. But, JJ, what should the Giants do with that third pick, and what do you like there?
So I've been very conflicted on this, Tate, because you know this, I know this. You can't do anything in the NFL without a franchise quarterback. The Giants are searching for one, and they have a top 3 pick. However, by all accounts, and I'm going to trust the Todd McShays and the Connor Rogers and the Charles Davises of the world a lot more than my eye on evaluating the NFL talent and the scouting combine and everything that comes with it. It doesn't seem like Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart is worthy of being a top 5 pick. So you want me to draw out the best case scenario for the Giants? Here's what I got for you. You don't pass up Abdul Carter, who I think is going to be the 3rd overall pick. You don't pass him up. Giants have always been a sucker for having elite level talent on the defensive line. You go and take him, don't overthink it. However, Joe Shane and Brian Dable are playing for their jobs this year. How do you sell progress in a year which you only win 6 or 7 games? You go and get yourself a young quarterback. So to me, you have one of 2 options in order to do that. You either trade back into the first round, say a prayer that the New Orleans Saints don't want Shedeur Sanders, move ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and go and get your guy, or you are in love with a second-round quarterback. Maybe that's Mr. Milroe, where, if you remember, Brian Dable had a quarterback at Wyoming who was raw. People said he was inaccurate, but he was insanely physically gifted. And in no way am I suggesting that Jalen Milroe is going to be Josh Allen. That's ridiculously unfair. But can I see the Giants talking themselves into, hey, he's raw, we can work with him, and by the end of this year, he's going to be ready to rock and roll and be the sort of prototype you want at quarterback in 2025? I absolutely can see that scenario. So to me, that's how the Giants got to do it. Take Carter, either move up to get Sanders, or go and get somebody you can sell hope on in the second round.
Yeah, Abdul Carter right now, minus 480 to go 3rd overall. Like you said, the Giants, their DNA is D-line, whether it's LT, whether it's Michael Strahan, all these guys, that's what they do. They get guys who can be edge rushers. And in that NFC East, to get a Micah Parsons lookalike, basically, that's not a bad idea. So I like that move for the Giants. And again, it does seem like the odds makers believe that's going to be the case at minus 480. Let's talk about the Jets. The Jets are always fascinating. Aaron Glenn, Aaron Rodgers, they had their little spat and their moment. Obviously, they're picking 7th overall in the draft. A lot of conversation about what the Jets are going to do. There is an expectation they're going to address the offensive line. But if you're looking at the Jets situation, what should they do, JJ?
Tate, I'm staying in Happy Valley, baby. I'm looking at Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. You want culture builders if you're Aaron Glenn. To me, Tyler Warren is a culture builder. Number one, they need another weapon alongside Garrett Wilson. This is a guy who can do it all from the tight end spot. He can block. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He was throwing for touchdowns, for goodness sakes. And Aaron Glenn got a firsthand look at the difference a big-time tight end can make, going back to his days with the Detroit Lions, where you watch Laporta change, diversify, do all the things he can provide for Ben Johnson's offense at the time. I think the Jets should seriously consider that. Remember, they passed up Brock Bowers a year ago. And old-fashioned, let's make something clear. They got themselves a really good offensive lineman. It's not like they drafted some stiff in the first round and didn't get themselves a high-quality player, but they need another playmaker. And Warren is all around. He's just a leader. He's a captain. He's got that sort of persona that you should be looking to bring in, at least the way I see it, to a rebuilding situation. Tate, there's a lot of ways they can go. They have a lot of needs on the team. If I was sitting there at 7, that's the pick I make.
Yeah, plus 290 right now. Warren is on the board for the Jets to take him at number 7. If you have to close your eyes, look into the future, Jets, Giants, who do you think is going to be the winner of draft night between those two teams in New York City? Who's going to come away where everyone's excited? Will it be the Giants? Will it be the Jets?
I'm going to say it's the Giants because I think they're going to find a way to trade into the first round perhaps and get Shedeur Sanders. And I think if Giant fans end up with Abdul Carter on their defensive line and They don't have to give up next year's number 1, let's say, to move up with their second-round pick to get to, 14, 15, whatever that number is ahead of the Steelers. I'm going to say the Giants just because I don't think, Tate, there's a pick that's going to transform things for Jet fans. As much as I may like Tyler Warren or you may like the offensive tackles, is that going to have you jumping for joy when you got the longest playoff drought in professional sports? I just think it's easier to sell hope if you're the Giants, if indeed you get a big-time player and a quarterback at the same time.
Yeah, and I like that over 2.5 quarterbacks taken in the first round because, like you said, I think someone's going to see maybe it's Shador, maybe they have fallen in love with Dart, or maybe they think Milroe may go early. But I think someone's going to come back.
They always do. Hey, look at Penix and look at Nix last year. Nobody had Bo Nix as a first-round pick, and then boom, Sean Payton loved him. And there you go.
That's all it takes. Last thing, quickly, I want to hit some baseball stuff. Yankees, Aaron Judge, he looks great so far. Leads MLB in batting average, RBI, hits. He's got 7 home runs this season already. What is it like right now with the Bronx Bombers in town with Aaron Judge playing this well right now?
Listen, he's the best player I've seen in my lifetime from an offensive standpoint since Barry Bonds. That's how dominant he is. He's gotten better and better. He doesn't have Juan Soto in the lineup. It doesn't matter, Tate. The guy does nothing but mash. There are absolutely no holes in his swing. And look, the Yankees have some concerns. Their starting rotation has been bruised, battered, and beaten. They're very lucky they signed Max Fried, who's worth every penny. So that's a thing of beauty to behold. But they're trying to find their identity. They're lucky they're in the American League, but they're more lucky to have number 99 as a part of their franchise. He's the goods. He's the real deal. He's just got to do it in October. That's all, Tate.
Yeah, and a guy who's missing number 99, Juan Soto, now with the Mets. He's off to a bit of a slow start trying to find his identity there. What is that like, kind of watching him go try to figure out his footing without Aaron Judge behind him in the batting box?
We had some interesting comments about it, but the bottom line is the Mets are winning games. David Stearns knows how to find starting pitching. Francisco Lindor, who never starts off the season in a positive way, has been unreal. I mean, he had a monstrous weekend against the Cardinals. He hits 2 home runs against the Philadelphia Phillies, just like he did in the postseason series last year. He's one of the best players in the sport, and the Mets are winning with Juan Soto not being at his very best. I think that's an incredibly positive sign because for a guy that talented, Tate, it's a matter of when, not if, he's going to get cooking.
I like that positive flip there, JJ. You're the best. Where can we find all your work? And then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Thanks, buddy. New York, New York. We're on after every one of these Knick playoff games. You want to check that out? East Coast Bias, Ringer Gambling Show. You want to check that out on Tuesday and Thursday mornings right here on FanDuel TV. And the Wise Guys are in hibernation. But football season will be here before you know it. So we look forward to another year reuniting, rocking and rolling.
I love when the Wise Guys get together. JJ, you're the best. We appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Tate, hopefully the next time we're talking, you shoot like 63, okay? I saw that 68. My goodness, red hot.
We're moving in the right direction, but of course you followed up with like an 80. That's just
I get it, but you might be on the tour before you know it. I hope we have a lot more of these chats, so you might be taking your talents to the tour.
I need some job security, so I'll go out there and make it work. So JJ, appreciate you, man, and we'll get out on the link soon, and we'll talk to you soon, man. Good luck in the playoffs, and good luck to the Knicks, Jets, Giants, everybody in New York City. Thanks, man.
You got it. Anytime, Tate.
All right, there you have it for another edition of Thru the Ringer. Thanks to Cousin Sal, as always, for coming on the show, and thanks to John Jastremski for coming on the show and breaking down everything happening in the city of New York. It's always good to talk to JJ, always good to talk to Cousin Sal, and always good to have you watch Thru the Ringer. We appreciate you tuning into the show, and we will see you next week. I hope everybody enjoys the NFL draft, and we'll talk to you in a week.